So let's take a moment to get comfy, to really situate ourselves here and find a good seat. You're welcome to put a blanket, a cushion, something under your hips. And you might want to try just this new way, maybe it's not new, but this way of sitting, bringing the left heel in towards you and the right heel in front of the left. And see if that feels good to your legs. If it doesn't, you can crisscross your ankles to give you a little more support. As soon as you find your seat, move the bottom flesh out of the way and close your eyes or just look down in front of you. Start to tune into your breath. I'm going to offer one word of intention for this practice, and the word is soften. Soften. In the Yoga Sutras, this word is sukha, or sweet, or easy. So Warrior Wednesday, we tend to do a little more active practice, and we will get there, but I want to start with softness first. So this class might feel like it's a little bit backwards. We're going to do some of the slower postures first and move into more active postures. Reason being, I want you to take softness with you into those more active postures. So as you're sitting here, taking some deep breaths, just notice anywhere in your body where you can soften just a little bit more. It can be even in energy or thinking. Where do you notice rough edges? And can you just soften a bit right there? Giving ourselves permission to stop pushing and forcing and start softening. Take some gentle circles with your shoulders and let these be soft circles, maybe staying inside the big range of motion. Let these just be small circles of inquiry, curiosity, less pushing, less forcing, more breathing, more softening. Then we're just going to take our right hand and place it on the floor to the side of us and sweep the left arm up. Take a deep breath in. On the exhale, bend the elbow, let that arm reach toward the side, and inhale back up, fingers to the ceiling. Do that a few times. Same side, exhale over, inhale, lift. And see if you can notice any tendency to force or push. And when you notice that tendency, just soften that edge just a bit. Maybe it's 5% less. We'll do one more reach. And return that left hand to the floor. Sweep the right arm up. Deep breath as the fingers lift, and then exhale over. We'll just do that a few times with breath. So if you are a person who loves power yoga, this practice will be really great for you because this practice will help you do the more powerful yoga practices with more softness. And up and over one more time. And then go ahead and bring your arms back to center. Walk your fingertips out in front of you and allow yourself to come into a forward fold. Once you get there, rock and roll your shoulders side to side. Noticing for any tendency to force or push. And then when you find that, just soften a little. And coming back to the center. We're going to take this right leg in our hands. So you're going to hold your shin or your knee and your ankle. You can keep this bottom leg bent, or if you feel a little bit more stable, stretch it out in front of you. And we're just gonna hold here and do a little movement around the hip, almost like you're getting a little tennis ball massage. People call this cradle the baby. Leaning forward and back, twisting side to side, just finding what's there inside of that right hip and finding it with a softness. And then holding on to this foot, bend that front leg again if you've straightened it, and come into fire log pose. I told you we were going to do the last poses first, and your body's probably not really warmed up. We're just here to find a hard edge, giving us the ability to try and soften it. So flex your feet, keep both of your feet flexed, and sit tall and just be here feeling this shape. Breath in, breath out, softening. And we're going to use our hands to take that foot off and just switch. So now the right heel is in front, the left behind, and the left leg is in front, or you can crisscross your ankles. This time we'll take the left hand to the floor and we'll start our breath on the left side. So lifting tall and bending over. Looking for sukha, sweetness, softness, ease. Moving with your breath. The poem by Mary Oliver really speaks to this. The poem is Wild Geese. Go ahead and come up and over the other way. The first couple of lines say, you do not have to be good. You do not have to crawl on your knees across the desert 100 miles repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. So let's do that today. Let's let the soft animal of our body love what it loves. Coming back to center, we'll walk the fingers out in front of us and then come into this forward fold, rocking the body from side to side. Noticing hard edges and softening there. Aware of our breath, aware of sensation, aware of softening. Coming up to cradle the baby. So hold either the knee or the shin and then the ankle. Bottom leg can be bent or straight, and then just moving around the left glute, left hip. Give it a nice massage in all directions. Finding sweetness here. What better on a Wednesday than finding sweetness? And then as we stack the legs in fire log pose, can we also find sweetness where there are some natural challenges? This is the pose where we really start to look at the way we approach our yoga, and especially power yoga. Rather than forcing and pushing this leg down, can we be here and just find some softness? Maybe that's in our shoulders or just with our breath. Maybe we just soften our thinking a bit. Where can you soften? And we'll use our hands to remove this leg. And then take your time shifting over into a tabletop position. for cat and cow. And we'll just start like we always do with an inhale into cow, lifting the tailbone, lifting the chin. Exhale to tuck the tailbone and tuck the chin. And just start to move with your breath. An exploration. Warming up the spine and moving with a softness. You might enjoy moving sideways today, something a little different, maybe pulling shoulder closer to hip, moving your body from side to side, the soft animal of your body. Maybe some shoulder rolls. What feels good here to you? What feels like sweetness? And then we're going to move into downward facing dog, but I'd like to invite you to move really slowly with the same idea of exploration. So hands come forward, hips start to lift, and we'll just move in with softness here. You might pick up one hand and place it down again. The other, a foot. Just really get curious the way an animal would about stretching the body. So we come into this pose, we find the shape, and then we can soften. So after a little more wiggling and stretching and curiosity, come into stillness. Noticing that that can often mean pushing or forcing again, and then bring softness into this posture. Bring softness here. Shining a light into the dark places in our body. Coming forward into plank pose. Again, this is a challenging pose. Find a softness here even when you're working. And soften the knees back again into downward facing dog. Let's just do that a couple of times, shifting forward and shifting back. Giving us the opportunity to examine, to contemplate why yoga? Why am I dedicated to this practice? What is it here that offers me a better quality of life? And is certainly not the pushing and forcing. We do enough of that. Coming forward into plank pose, let's drop the right knee, kick that foot off the edge, and open up into a kneeling side plank. Maybe circle out that wrist. We were on it for a bit. We'll start to move through gait flow. So lifting up, our arms come into a T, and then we bend over that side leg. Exhale back to the earth, arm up and over. Lateral movement of the spine, sideways movement of the spine. Softening the body, softening the breath, softening our energy, our will, our determination, softening our thinking, our thoughts. Maybe even softening the limited view we have of ourselves. Pausing in gate pose, reach as high as you can, lengthen through the side body, feeling expansion and softness. Let's bend this elbow and just reach the elbow back an inch or two, just enough to feel a little bit more space in the shoulder and chest. Looking up toward your hand and back to the knees. Switching sides as you are ready, kicking the left foot off, opening the right. And we'll start to move through gate flow. Let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. When we can soften, we open ourselves to something greater. We might notice that our tension, our tightness is constraining us. Pause here in gate pose, lift and lengthen. So a practice of softening actually invites us to expand and not contract. Soften the elbow, gently pull that elbow back till you feel a soft stretch in the left shoulder. You can look up at your hand if that feels good. And windmill the hands to the earth. Let's come back again into downward facing dog. See if anything has shifted or changed. Any edges have softened. And then we're going to step our right foot to the top of our mat and slowly drop the left knee, come into a kneeling lunge. Deepening the breath here. As we come into some hip opening poses, I'll offer from the practice of Anusara the term opening to grace. This expansion, we're opening ourselves to grace. Let's leave our left hand where it is and sweep the right arm slowly up into a twist. Noticing any forcing, pushing, and just soften a bit. Just soften. Breath. Awareness, softness. And as we come back down, let's square the hips and we'll just shift the body back and forth a few times, moving into hamstrings. Gentle movement, hip flexor to hamstring. Just lubricating the joints. Knowing that our body stores emotions. We hold on to our stories, our past, our traumas. And these can sometimes get stuck. So hip openers are kind of a way of chipping things out of the corners. Let's come forward and bring our hands to the inside of our foot, coming into lizard. And in lizard, you can keep your knee up or drop the knee open. Maybe a little bit of both. Breathing deeply right here. Remembering that we haven't done a thorough warm-up, so things might still be a little resistant. And that's good because we're just noticing where resistance shows up to give us an opportunity to practice softening. From here, pulling that foot a little closer to you, let's drop the knee and come into pigeon. And if this doesn't feel good to your knee, stay upright. Just stay right here where you can keep the weight in your hands. You can protect your knee. If your knee is giving you a green light, you might scoot the left toes back and lower down a bit. Just be here for a few breaths, practicing softening. Aware of any sensations in your body and anywhere that you tend to force or push. Just doing a little bit less of that today. Let's rise up slowly, tucking the back toes, returning into downward facing dog. And now let's pedal the heels just a little bit bigger. Let's put some movement back into the ankles, the knees, the hips. And when you're ready, slowly dropping the knees and swing that left foot to the top of your mat, coming down into kneeling lunge. Feel what's here to be felt. The music you might hear faintly in the background, waves. Let's let our breath be like waves coming and going. Moving to twists, right hand down, left arm up. Just surfing the waves of breath. In, out, in, and out. And returning the hand to the earth, beginning a forward and back action. Hamstring to hip flexor. You might observe differences on the two sides. See if you cannot judge that. Just notice that. The body is two different worlds, right and left. A masculine side and a feminine side. As we come forward, hands to the inside of the foot for lizard. And you could stay up and just check out the movement of the hip, or you might drop down to the elbows. Whatever you choose here, relish, enjoy this shape. Less forcing and pushing, more softening. And then when that hip feels ready, let's glide the knee out and the foot in, coming into pigeon on the second side, just being really protective of the left knee. You can stay up high or lower yourself down. We're here for a few breaths. You might identify some places in your life where you can take softening. Places where maybe you've been pushing, forcing, trying so hard. And maybe you can bring a little bit of sukha with you as you leave your mat today. That be an intention for this time here. Lifting the body, bringing hands to the mat. Let's tuck our toes once again, downward facing dog, pedaling the heels, shifting our weight and noticing maybe the edges are softening. You don't have to try so hard. Lowering the knees to the mat, inhale into cow. And then we're going to exhale all the way back into child's. Let's do that a few times, a child's flow. So we're going to start to move towards a little more active practice. We've really established what it's like to feel the softness inside of the pose. So as we start to move a little bit more and we bring heat to our practice, I invite you to just really contemplate what the body is feeling, where the edges are, and bringing softness into these places. So tucking the toes, lifting up, once again, downward facing dog. We'll walk our feet towards our hands. Let's come into a forward fold. Keep the knees bent so that your belly rests easily on your thighs, and then touch your hands to the outsides of your arms. Deepen the breath here in ragdoll. 2 strong and solid footprints on the mat. Body breathing. Press hands to shins, lift and lengthen to a flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Press to lengthen. And fold. Let's do that one more time. Press to lengthen. And a deeper forward fold. Bending the knees, we'll sweep the arms all the way up. Extended mountain, reaching fingers to the sky. And with our feet firm and our hands reaching, feel the power of this pose with a softness. Hands to heart, sink down into chair. Inhale, arms up. Exhale into chair. And start to create ujjayi breath, this whisper breath that sounds like waves on the ocean. Let's exaggerate that breath. And even though the breath is fiery and fierce, there's a softness here. Come into chair and hold with your arms wherever you like. Outstretched is a little more challenging than hands in close. Find a softness here. Let this be an easy chair. That doesn't mean come out of it. It means find ease here. That's really the definition of the word asana. Find ease here. If your hands are extended, bring them to your heart and press to mountain pose, arms down at your sides. So, active practice often involves sun salutations. So can you move through these more fiery actions with softness? Let's find out. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, plank pose, knees or toes. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog. Pause right here. Feel the power of this pose, your power with softness. Looking forward, feet to hands. Inhale, lift halfway, and exhale, forward fold. Rise up, extended mountain. And bring your hands to your heart. Let's do that again. Soft, sun A. Lift high and fold forward. Press to lift and exhale, downward facing dog. Shifting forward, knees or toes, lower halfway down. Roll the shoulders up and back, and then exhale, downward facing dog. Find stillness in the pose and breathe. Notice the energy building, moving in your body, energy around your body. Looking forward, feet to hands, lift halfway and fold. Rising high, extended mountain. And bring your hands to your heart. Do one more sun A. Reach up. Fold forward. Press to lift. And step back, downward facing dog. We'll take a vinyasa. Forward and down. Up and back. In downward facing dog, feel expansion. Press into each one of your fingers. Press into the front of your palms and feel your shoulders pulling away from your hands. Feel your hips drawing up and away from your shoulders. Feel your heels reaching down away from your hips. Expansion in your body. Now soften. Expansion and softness both. Let's lower the knees to the mat. Pressing up to stand on our shins or our knees for flowing camel. Hands to the backs of the hips. Press the hips forward. You can stay here or you can reach your arms to the ceiling. See if that has any effect on the low back. On the exhale, hinge from the hips and let your arms reach behind you. Head comes toward the mat. Inhale again, camel. Exhale, reach back. Moving with your breath, finding softness here. Hips, spine, and shoulders. Move with your breath 2 more times. You might find yourself leaning in a little bit more. Maybe your body's inviting you to go a little deeper. Go with softness. This next time we find ourselves down, let's put the hands on the mat. Cat and cow. Movement with breath. Has anything shifted? Is anything softer? 2 more times. And let's meet in downward facing dog. Breathing here. Shifting forward into plank pose. Holding right here. Pressing down into the earth, engaging the core. Can you find softness? And actually enjoy the pose, even when it's a hard pose. Dropping the knee to the mat once again, opening up into side plank. I'm going to lift the leg, reach down, and take a hold of the ankle. So as we kick the foot into the hand, this is a nice, big, open back bend. Can you find softness here? Returning to side plank. Let's let the arm come all the way up overhead, finding expansion with softness. That should feel like a breath of fresh air blowing through an open window. Go ahead and switch. Knees down, left foot off the mat, right arm lifts. And as we float that foot, we'll find the ankle. Kicking the foot into the hand, opening through the hip, shoulder, chest, belly. Softening. Returning the foot to the ground, the arm comes up and over. Expansion with softness. Returning the hand to the mat. Go ahead and shift down onto your belly. And here on our belly, we're going to come into Sphinx pose. Sphinx pose is a wonderful pose for strengthening the back and softening, opening, lengthening the front. So the toenails stay down on the floor. You can engage your quads so that your kneecaps lift, and that's going to give you more active lower body. Plant the hands and drag. It's like you're trying to drag your elbows back and your ribs forward. Feeling strength in the back, length in the front. Brene Brown says it best. We want to go out into our day with a strong back, a soft front, and a wild heart. This practice offers both strength and softness. Take one more deep breath here and release. Hands come to the earth, press back. Child's pose. Pause there for just a moment. Spinal flexion. And when you're ready, downward facing dog. Let's raise the right leg to the sky. Circle the ankle, bend the knee, and open the hip. Expansion and softness. Extending again, we'll draw the foot forward, stepping to the ground. Drop the back heel, rise up, warrior one. Very strong pose. As soon as you find the shape, bring the breath in and find softness. Look for things like shoulders being tense, hands being tense, toes gripping. You can even soften your belly a bit here. Sthira Sukha, steady and sweet. Take a deep breath in, and on the inhale, let your arms reach back into a baby back bend, and then exhale to float over your front leg, arms behind. Let's interlace and come into humble warrior. Head down, knuckles high. A great place to practice strength and softness. Less struggle, more ease. Let's release up, sweeping the arms high. And we'll just open the arms out and square the feet so that all 10 toes are facing the side of the mat. And then turning toward the back of the mat, left toes turn, back heel turns in, and we'll come on up, warrior one. Shoulders soft, face soft, fingers soft. Eyes soft on a point. That's a great practice as well. When we use a drishti, we tend to kind of squint and stare harsh. See if you can soften your eyes softly on a point. Inhale the arms behind you And exhale, hinge from the hips, coming forward to humble warrior. Knuckles high, head low. Let's come back up, warrior one. Opening out and turning all 10 toes to the side of the mat. We'll bring our hands to our hips and we'll come into wide straddle here. So shifting forward from the hips, you can bend your knees if that feels good. Hands can be on a block or the floor. Let's exhale down and pause right here. You're welcome to move or find stillness, as long as what you're choosing involves softness. Coming up to a flat back. Okay, I think we're sufficiently warm for this last little sequence. We're going to turn toward the top of our mat into a low lunge. And then we're going to turn the right toes to the right and drop to the outside of our left heel. So my body's facing forward, but all of my toes now are facing the right side of my mat. And I'm going to lift the right arm up. If you drop your hips a little bit, you'll feel something in that outer edge. Find softness. And return to your low lunge. Walk your hands in front and go all the way to the back of your mat and do the same thing. So your feet are going to pivot. The left arm lifts. Breathe. And back to center. Let's face the front of our mat one more time and we'll bring our knees to the mat. Little baby vinyasa flow, shifting forward, melting down, peeling up, and back to child's pose. Just do that a couple more times. We'll take heat with us to the floor. Melt from your thighs, belly, chest and chin. Find cobra and then child's. 2 more times. As you come back into child's pose, knees a little bit wider. Walk your hands over to the left, put one hand on top of the other, and pull your hips to the right. Expansion and softness both. Switching, hands to the right, hips to the left. And back to the center. Sweeping our legs around, we're going to lower down onto our backs. So once you get there, knees to chest. If you have pretty tight hamstrings, you might want a strap, a sock, a t-shirt for this next one. We're just going to do a hamstring stretch. So draw your knees in first, chin to chest, exhale. As you lengthen your spine to the floor, hold the right knee to the chest, let the left leg fall flat to the floor. Slowly extend that leg until you find soft expansion. You can hold anywhere on the leg that feels good. And then we're just going to point and flex and circle. Looking for softness. We do enough hardness. Let's look for softness here. There's a natural place where your body will start to fight you if you push and force. We'd be advanced yogis if we always knew where that place is. Less force, more softening. Release the knee, foot to the floor. Bring both knees in, chin to chest, and then release the right leg down. Lower your head and lift your left leg. Flex and point, circle the ankle. Relish. Enjoy. Find the pose and then soften around it. And let's draw both knees into the chest. Tuck yourself into a tight little ball as you exhale. And as the head lowers, both legs come up straight. So you can put a strap around your feet. You can hold your legs, or if you're comfortable here, let your hands come to the floor. Maybe under your hips for waterfall. Take a few deep breaths here, eyes closed or soft. Soften. Sukha, sweetness. Notice things like clenching the jaw, gritting the teeth, tongue pressing to the roof of the mouth. We hold stress in tiny ways. Maybe behind the eyes or in the temples of the head. Let breath help you soften those edges. When you feel ready for Shavasana, go slowly. Go slowly. Explore the journey on the way there. And give yourself permission to use any support, any pillows, cushions, blankets. Give yourself permission to be comfortable. Once you arrive in your final relaxation, soften again. Soften again. And soften again. If your mind wanders, bring it back to breath. You might try square breathing. Inhale 4 counts, hold 4 counts, exhale 4 counts, and hold the breath out 4 counts. See if that keeps your mind quiet, the edges soft. Take one more square breath. As you resume normal breathing, begin to stretch your body and very softly return to a seat. Come back to a soft seat. When you find your soft seat, I invite you to find with one or both of your hands the soft place over your heart. The soft flesh, the soft beating of the heart, this tender place. Then soften your eyes once again, maybe even look down, look in at this softness within you. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Your place in the family of things. Let's bring the hands together, and for today's practice, bring your thumbs to your forehead. This is known as our third eye, our place of intuition and knowing. And I think we all know that we move through life with a little too much force and push. And there are places where we can bring softness. Let's leave today with that intention. Namaste.